What does it mean when your usually calm and restful deckhand becomes frenzied and looks like a black wraith with wings of flames? Wait, what? What's going on here? Looks matter. And in this video, I'm going to tell you all about that. Welcome to the Ship Psychology channel. My name is Crystal Vogels, and I will be your counselor and guide to your ship today. In the previous video, we talked about how our brains speak to us through images and how you can build up a vocabulary where changes to the images have a certain meaning and you can identify what your brains are trying to tell you, what your subconsciousness is trying to make you consciously aware of. In short, the appearance of your ship, the appearance of your crew matters. That tells you something. What it tells you, however, is very, very personal. Not because it's your brain talking to you and that's no one else's business, but because the vocabulary you have, the association you have with certain images is unique to you. There's no one which way that your ship or your crew should look like. Everyone has their own idea of what their ship looks like, what kind of ship they have. And that can be absolutely anything from small catamaran racing ships to big yachts to container ships, old-fashioned sailing ships, big, small. One person even had a spaceship. It is all possible. What the ship looks like, what features she has. Does she have weapons? Does she have cargo? What her state of maintenance is. Is she an ironclad with thick steel walls to repel enemy fire? Or is she a small carbon fiber boat that weaves through all the other ships and no one can ever catch it because it's too fast? All these things are a reflection of how you view yourself, of how you feel about yourself, about what you know at heart, what your strengths and your weaknesses are. Similarly, everyone's crew is their own, even if they are based off the same archetypes. Archetypes are images that are shared typically across a culture. Like when I ask you to picture a captain, chances are that you will have the same kind of image in your mind that a lot of other people in your surrounding will too. And when I ask you to picture your captain, the image might change to something that is more suited to you, something that you prefer. That appearance of your captain, of your first mate, of your deckhand, they are partially influenced by your culture, but largely by your personal associations. When you have faith in your own cognitive abilities, chances are that the image you get are that of a competent and capable captain. What that looks like to you. If you at heart don't really feel that comfortable with rationality and rational reasoning, and you're not very good at it anyway, then perhaps you picture your captain being dressed very disheveled. Maybe they are hanging back in their cabin and they don't show their face very often. Or if you feel that you should, rationality is very important and you should listen to that, and actually rationality is the virtue that you can have, then it's possible that you picture your captain in a uniform as an actual military officer, because that is the association you have. Maybe they look like someone you have seen before. Maybe they look like a character from a show or a character from a book. Maybe you feel inspired because that character embodied what this archetype, be it the captain or the first mate or the deckhand, what they embody to you. And so your brain says, you want a first mate? This is what a first mate looks like. Oh, you want a captain? Ideal captain looks like this. And the image that comes to mind is fully dependent on what you've seen, what you've experienced, how you feel, and which images you associate with that. Sailors are, archetypically speaking, usually presented as male. And because of the influence of archetypes, it is entirely possible that your crew does not reflect your gender, age, or ethnicity. When I show images of the captain, the first mate, or the deckhand, I show images of what my crew looks like to me. I feel comfortable with that, and that is okay. But on the other hand, there is no reason why they shouldn't reflect your gender, your age, your ethnicity. But that image, let it come as it does, whatever that image is. Right now, in this moment, there is a certain message, a certain expectation, a certain idea you have of what a ship and her crew look like. But that isn't fixed. In the previous video, we spoke briefly on how certain changes can reflect changes in your mental state. For example, my captain usually has quite long ginger hair, right down to below the shoulders. But I learned early on that sometimes I see him sitting in a cabin which is completely dark. Without his coat, he's just wearing a shirt, no coat. And he shaved his hair off. And that is something that I've come to associate with grief and depression. And I realized that when my captain looked like that, usually from one moment to the next that would happen. When he looked like that, that was an alarm signal because something was happening in my brain. And I learned that that was actually an early warning system of a depressive episode that was about to set in. So I learned to recognize the early warning system based on the appearance of my crew. And then after the episode, when I felt better, he would have his hair back. So checking my captain's hair became a gauge for me to find out where I was in my mental health. So these are the brief changes that you can use as a kind of diagnostic system. But there's also changes that gradually become more permanent. When I first found my ship, she looked like the Black Pearl from Pirates of the Caribbean. Rotten to the core and held together by shoestrings and sheer willpower. And over time, she changed. She was better maintained. All the rotten bits were taken out and she had a healthy hull. Without holes, yay. The guns that would misfire a lot of the time, they were much too big, so those chains became much smaller, much more accurate too. The sails changed from just dirty rags to beautiful white canvas. Eventually the ship herself changed in shape and in size from the three-masted Black Pearl kind of ship to a much longer, much larger four-masted bark. Huge changes. But these reflected the changes that were happening in me. My ship grew stronger, healthier, as I grew more confident. My crew looked better, got along better, as I helped them to communicate, as they learned to communicate with each other. And all these changes that were happening in me and in my mental health, they showed in my crew. And that is the beauty of the ship. You have this language with which your brains are telling you how you are doing in terms of mental health, how you're viewing yourself, both in the moment and over time. And you can see how much progress you are making by how your ship and your crew changes. And when things get difficult, your crew will tell you, they will show you, and they will tell you what they need in order to get better again. If you'd like to know more about this and about what the ship can mean for you, there's a link to my website in the description below. There's also a second link that goes directly to the navigation call. And the navigation call is a 1-hour video call where we can meet, have a chat, and you can tell me what is bothering you and what you'd like to work on. And we can discuss how the ship can help you to do that. That's it for now. Don't forget, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!